All right, folks, welcome again to What's Your Story. Man, it is so great to have this guy with us. Mike Pacific 414 is in the house, man. Oh, so great to have you, brother. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Pops. Really appreciate it.
Well, let's start with the obvious. Congratulations, 1,000 subs. It's been a long journey. I know I've known you this time for every bit of the 2 years or so that we've both been kind of running parallel, doing some of this kind of stuff. So it's quite a journey, my friend. But congratulations to you and your folks that are hanging out with you regularly.
Well, thank you very much. It was a journey that I originally started back in 2019 because at the same time I also started a Twitch channel thinking, okay, I can, you know, cover the Cubs on the YouTube channel, do the gaming on the Twitch channel because that's how the YouTube channel originally started was me covering the Chicago Cubs and post-game reactions. And I wanted to keep them separate at first. But then, I started noticing, well, I don't really have many people tuning in to my recaps. So what if I start putting a variety of content onto the channel, which I started doing with episode reviews and then movie reviews and then the gaming went over there as well. Even though I was still streaming on Twitch, I was finding that when I added the gaming, I was having a little bit more success on the YouTube side than I was over on the Twitch side.
That's interesting, actually. I didn't really give much thought to. So obviously, you were saying you did some sports stuff, didn't have, and
Mhm,
obviously, there's going to be a long road of competition dealing with anything sports related.
mhm.
But with gaming, it seemed like that boosted you, or at least gave you some different momentum that you weren't seeing even with some of the other reviews and stuff.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Now, granted, I was still doing the Cubs recaps with the box score and also my episode reviews and movie reviews, but in the last couple of years, I've noticed that the MLB package, the MLB extra innings, and also MLB.TV was going up beyond my price range. It originally started off at a pretty reasonable deal. You could watch the whole season at one point for $69, and I thought it was worth it because I liked watching more than just the Cubs during the season, so I could, watch all the teams on MLB.TV, and it didn't matter if it was in my local area or outside of my local area. I can see what happened in the other games.
I mean, there's so many games that $70 seems like a very reasonable price. I mean, you're talking about
Mhm,
even if you caught every other game or at least every other, let's say you only caught 80 to 100 games a season, you're still looking at less than a buck a game. So that's
mhm.
a pretty fair, reasonable thing. How much of a hike did they raise it to?
Every year it was a different price unless you're already grandfathered in.
Hmm.
The highest that it started getting to was after that $69, it got up to $100, and I'm going, okay, this is starting to get ridiculous. And even looking at MLB Extra Innings, that was even higher because you're going through DirecTV or your local cable provider, and
This is
you
in
have to
addition
deal
to
with
the
that.
regular. Yeah. Okay.
hmm
Hmm.
And last year, they raised it to $150 to watch all 30 teams or $130 just to watch the Cubs if I wanted to watch the Cubs. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't justify spending $130 to watch the Cubs. As much as I love watching baseball and the Cubs in particular, I couldn't do it. I couldn't justify it.
Yeah,
And
that seems
the
like a
main
lot.
reason why,
Seems like
the
a
main
lot.
reason why was I was thinking to myself, now how many of these 162 games are you actually going to catch? Because you have to keep in mind that not all these games are going to be on their regional sports network, Marquee Sports Network. They also broadcast games on ESPN, Fox. You have Peacock that has games. Apple TV has a Friday game once a week. So then I start thinking about that. It's like, no, I'm not doing it. So I ended up recapping 10 games last year, and it was after the 10th game, I thought to myself, all right, there's a new direction for the channel. And that new direction is going to be focusing on pop culture and entertainment, along with keeping with the gaming.
It seems like that's been a good formula for you and the channel, and it seems like are happy, right? I mean, one of the big
Mhm.
things I think I want to spin my wheels on, you got to find your lane of what you still do is fun, right?
Uh, yeah, and that's the main thing I try to do on the channel is have fun. Yes, on Pop Talk, we do get serious when we need to get serious, but I want that to be a relaxing stream. You know, one of those types of streams where if you were coming into your local bar per se, and you're just having a nice conversation with everybody, like Cheers, for example.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What has been the evolution like for you? Like the okay, so I know for me, there's times where you just want to throw your hands up, just like I'm just done. And it can be just the failure of a video or a live stream that didn't go particularly well. It could just be the general fatigue of everything, or you're trying to upload or do something and your mic didn't work, or talk a little bit about just I call it the first world YouTube problems, right? The behind the scenes, some of the stuff that just makes you just want to pull your hair out.
Oh, I could tell you a few stories, especially when I had a Blue Yeti mic, and I had the mic for the first 3 years of doing YouTube. And then I was on a live stream one night, and it just quit on me. I would start speaking, everybody else was hearing static, and they're all, "Whoa, Mike, your mic, no pun intended, is hot." So I tried doing what I could to try to remedy it. Pull it out of the USB port, put it back in, make sure that the firmware is updated, and if there were any other updates for my computer, to make sure I had all the current updates. Everything was fine. So I tried it again. Nope, same thing. Replaced it with another mic, and then another mic, and another mic. It's like, okay, I can't keep spending money on microphones that aren't going to work. Or even if they do work, it's only for a short period of time. I've had issues with my webcam where I wanted to go on camera and do the recaps back in the early days. And because the camera wasn't working properly, I decided, okay, fine, it's going to be a voiceover. And I've even done recordings where I listen back and then I think to myself, I can't post this with all the ands, uhs, stuff
Mhm.
like that.
I was just gonna ask, how do you navigate that? Have you learned any tricks to navigate around that? I did find one, by the way, I'll share, but I wanna ask you first. What are your tricks? So let's say you do a video, but you've got 3 or 4 sort of, I forget the terms they use for it, the ums and the uhs and the pauses and, where your brain's processing, but you're not really catching up, that kinda thing. How do you work
Mhm.
around some of those, or you just kinda let them fly, or how do you manage some of that?
The way I've managed some of it is I'll go through the video and I'll see where the ands and ums are, and then I'll decide, can I cut it here? Can I cut it there? And if I cut it here and cut it there, is the video still a video worth uploading? What I
Okay.
mean by that is, do I ruin the video by taking out something that's crucial to what I'm trying to say? Or can I salvage the video to where, you, the viewer, get the gist of what I'm trying to tell you?
Right. Oh, 100%. I mean, you don't wanna lose the point of the video, right? You don't wanna
Mhm.
cut so much out that it loses the point. Yeah, okay. It's
Yeah.
good. I hate editing so much. I've done too much, editing, and I'm just at the point now where it's like the bane of my existence. However, I will say my cheat is I played around with YouTube Editor. So if you ever go into your video, there's an editor button on the side, and you can go in a YouTube
Mhm.
button, and you can go in, you can zoom all the way in, and you can trim. And I realized that there are pieces I could trim. So I started experimenting with that over the last few weeks, and I've had some pretty good luck. I would say cleaning. I don't know that I am anywhere close to the quality that I would want because you'd probably have to re-record pieces, you know what I mean, for hesitations and like you said, the ums and the whatevers. But it without that, it allows you to clean up certain things. And the other thing too for me is pauses. Sometimes I'm processing and I realize you get a beat that's just too long. You can get in and
Mhm.
trim the beat down to like half and things like that. So that's my current cheat. I will do my video, kind of have it like I normally would, but then I'll upload it. And as long as I have time, and this is part of the reason that there's been a bit of a delay getting content back up and running, is because I'm trying to be a little more vigilant about improving. What do you do, or what is your goal getting to this point? Because you've gotten all this work, all this time, the emotional journey of getting to this milestone, and now it's kind of okay. Well, now what do I do? Like, how do you manage, or what are your thought processes? I want to say goals, but kind of like how do you manage where you're going to kind of go now?
As far as where I am currently, reaching some milestones, I keep telling myself, keep your feet on the ground, keep your head on your shoulders. Don't get yourself above the clouds and think that you're some kind of big shot now, because I tell myself I'm not. I'm not a big shot. I still have to keep working. I still have to keep improving because I'm one of those people that doesn't want to settle. I want to keep going and keep improving because there's are still things I know I can improve on.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing that you can do is just so I have terms I use, and I don't know, you can speak to them. Maybe I'm scratching at the right itch. I don't know, but I treat YouTube as an infinite game. That there's no end to the game, unlike baseball, right? So the baseball, you've got outs and innings, whatever. There's a finite beginning and end. We keep score. I treat YouTube as sort of like the infinite, like a video game, right? There's just different levels.
Mhm,
Okay, there's no real big reward for, let's say, level 3 in this one video game, but it's like, okay, we moved to level 4. Okay, that's all it meant. It didn't mean any major life change or anything like that. It was just a level, but the game goes on forever. There's no end to the game. I'm competing against myself. I'm not competing against you or Nerdporio or Loki Show or even, you know, giant YouTubers, Neurotic or Mr. Beast. The world is just too big, and the algorithm is way beyond our control. Do you
mhm.
catch yourself thinking about it from a competitive standpoint, or do you ever catch yourself that way?
I'm not gonna say I don't. I'd be lying if I said I don't.
I don't think I do from
I
subs, but I think I do from. Oh, that's good. I wonder how they got there. I don't say
mm,
it's envy. It's more like how they do that or how they get that or man. Oh, you know what I mean? I don't. It's tricky. It's a tricky thing to navigate, right?
mhm. It is because
Mm,
you don't know what video is gonna catch the attention of not just the algorithm, of a viewer. You don't know what
right.
game's gonna catch the attention of the algorithm or a viewer. I was playing Rise of the Tomb Raider last summer, and it was part 3 of the gameplay. I'm just going through the game. It's my first time playing the game and trying to figure out some of the puzzles and how to get to a certain area. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at my Streamlab OBS and I'm seeing the numbers going up. I'm going, what's going on? Is this some sort of glitch? And it keeps going up. And then people start popping up in the chat, and I got overwhelmed. I got overwhelmed because I've never had that happen before, where all of a sudden all these people start coming in all at once during a game stream. I've had it happen a couple of times during Pop Talk, but as far as a game stream, no. Usually my regulars are there during a game stream.
Well, I'll get to my question. So you were part of, I believe, one of my San Diego Comic-Con conversations where I ended up having
Mhm,
9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, it was just, I was overwhelmed. It got away from me, way over my skis. And there were times where people didn't get a chance to talk and whatever. And it was like a learning experience. I did it wrong. I got it. It just turned into chaos. It was very impromptu. Some of that stuff was very just off the cuff, but you have these learning experience kind of moments where you get yourself into. What was going through your head, or what did you learn from that about? Oh man, the thing I'm doing now is like going viral. Like it's getting big. I mean, maybe not viral is the right word, but it's like you said, it's growing crazy. I don't know,
mhm.
this is getting this overwhelming. It's the word you use, right? What was one of your learning experiences from that? Like, how did that get reeled in for you?
I think one of my learning experiences is to make sure that anybody who is new to the channel or anybody who's been with the channel, make sure that they're welcomed. Make sure that they
Mm,
feel welcomed. Don't just look at the numbers and look at the people coming into your chat and ignore them. That's one of the things I had to learn in the beginning when I was doing a game stream. Someone would pop in, I wouldn't always catch them in the chat. Now I'm very attentive. Doesn't matter if I'm streaming on YouTube, it doesn't matter if I'm streaming on Twitch, Rumble, Kick. If I see somebody pop up in the chat as I'm playing the game, I'll acknowledge them. And I'll usually acknowledge them verbally.
Feels good when you're acknowledged for sure. Like it just it
Mhm.
makes you feel part of the family. It makes you feel like you said the hangout together kind of feeling. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't just ignore the person just walked up to the group. You would try to do your best to try to welcome and make them feel part of things. So
Mm.
it's great for
And
sure.
even during Pop Talk, I've seen new faces pop in during the show. And if someone like Cash or Baron or any number of guests or panelists are talking at the time and I'm not talking, I'll greet them in the chat. I'll tell them, "Welcome to the channel."
Yeah, yes, it's one of your strongest suits. Is you really do a good job of managing that acknowledgement if people are trying to very quickly. That's definitely one of your strongest suits for sure. That's for sure. And you have great folks. How did that work that you could get closer to someone like Baron and Cash who just like, okay, I'm here to help you, not just, you know what I mean? One thing about being a regular, but it's another thing when someone best, well, you know what, I'll help you carry some water, Mike.
The funny story about Baron and I is we had both been members of Doomcock's channel, and we would go on Doomcock's membership streams once a month, and that's how we first met. And we just got to talking from there. And when I was celebrating 100 subscribers, Baron sent me a message and said, "Do you have any open seats?" I said, "Yes, I do. Would you like to come on?" And he says, "Yes, I would." And from there, the relationship grew. And it was while I was doing Tuesday Night Trek with Paul of Phantomology, formerly known as the Star Wars guys. I met Cash, and he and I started talking. We have a few things in common. I was born and raised in California before I moved away from California back in '97, and he still lives in California. So we were, just talking about life experiences growing up in California, and we developed a friendship from there. And both Baron and Cash have earned my trust.
Yeah, that's invaluable, isn't it? Just to find kindred spirits and folks that you can lean on. And if something were to happen, you feel like you could hand them the keys and just run a show or just do something as in your apps. I think that's kind of
Hmm.
the next step for a lot of us, right? Would be because
Hmm.
you see it with a few channels, right? I think Gary does this without obviously Pop Culture Minefield. You see it with Sporking News. You see it with a few things. Loki does it from time to time, but you feel like the next level would be to build something that also can involve enough people that if Pops took a week off, the show can go on, kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Mike's gonna just not be here for this pop talk, but it's okay. We're just gonna run it within his absence. We're good. We got this. You know what I mean? Like that seems like next level stuff because that becomes like regularly scheduled programming that can just carry on.
And that's how far they've, you know, earned my trust. That I know if I see that there's a special movie event happening, I want to go see it, and it's going to be on a Sunday during the normal 1 o'clock Eastern time slot where we're going to be doing the Sunday edition of Pop Talk. I can tell Baron and Cash, you know, would you guys mind running the show while I go see this movie? I'll make sure I have everything set up for you guys to make it easy on them. But would you guys mind running the show? Of course, they love it because then that's when they raise the pirate flag and they like to say, "Mike's out in the Dean.
Yeah,
We're taking over."
that's good stuff. That's fun stuff. So,
Yeah.
what has it been like to um, keep leveling up through that, though, right? Because you've seen each piece of what you're doing. I mean, sure, the cubbies may have fallen away a little bit from your regularly scheduled video cycle and things like that, but the way the weekly shows have gone, so just they keep leveling up, and of course with the gaming stuff that you do as well. Um, what's it been like to see that go? Because it is such a long process. You mentioned years, right?
Mhm.
What's it like? How do you navigate through that and feel like you're I want to say fertilizing it, but you're encouraging the growth.
I've gotta say, when it comes to pop talk, where it started to where it is now, it's an evolution because I'll admit, I go back and I will listen to things I've said, other people have said, and I think to myself, okay, how can I improve this? I was
Mm,
even doing that during the box score. How can I improve this? Because I don't want to settle. I don't want
that's
to
good.
just think, okay, the show's good the way it is. No, there's areas of improvements, and even told Cash and Baron. I said, we've got a special dynamic, the three of us, and that dynamic works. I don't know how it's working. Maybe it's because we are like-minded in certain things, and then other things we have completely total different points of view, but it's working for us.
It
And
feels good when it
I
does. Mm,
yeah,
go
and
ahead.
I think what also helps too is the fact that we'll talk about things off stream, and they're not even related to the stream, but we'll talk about what's going on right now in the world. And even when we do talk about that stuff on stream, it's usually on the Rumble channel as an exclusive. Now, the last few weeks, I haven't really done the exclusive hour on Rumble for Pop Talk during the Wednesday show because we've also recently started streaming the show on Twitter just to see how it's going to go
Mhm.
to get more eyes on not just my channel, not just Baron's channel, not just Cash's channel, but to get our voice out there.
Yeah, it's just like you don't wanna ever just leave an opportunity, uh, unexplored, right? You wanna just kinda continue to try to evolve and explore. But I love that fact that you have that perfect mindset that I just encourage everybody to have. It's like constant reevaluation, sort of an investigative look at your content, your videos, things like that. Like, how do I make the next one a little bit better? Or how could I approach this in a way that can be great? Or different things that you can do. Feedback. It seems like the three of you have really coalesced really well around that idea. I think it's great. I think it's great. Uh,
I mean,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one of my recent videos that I uploaded was using Suno.ai to create a Transformers tribute song.
Mhm.
And I made a music video to that. And even when I premiered that music video, I'm seeing things I'm going, I need to change that before I actually upload the final thing.
Yeah, one guy, I want to say it was Alex Hermosi said, if let's say you did your video, Mike, and I said, okay, if I said you don't have to publish this for 3 more days, what would you do to the video to make it better? Okay, you have 3 days, and you said, all right, well, I would do this and this. We'll just do those things. Said, okay, what if I told you you had a month and I need you to do it, let's say the first of the month? You'd, oh man, I could do this and this and this and this. All right. So what if I said you had, exactly 30, let's think it's the 15th of May. You'd be like, oh, I just reshoot the whole thing. I'd rewrite this. Just do that. And it was like so extreme. But the point was to always be looking at a way to add value and quality. Right. And I think that is a challenge that we're juggling with, right? Because you're trying to stay timely, you're trying to stay in the news cycle or the conversation, you're trying to do that. But there are certain videos that we could probably do that with, right? There are certain videos that I think don't have to come out right now, and we could have that type of mindset. I know I can. I don't know. What do you think about that kind of thought or that thought process?
Yeah, I think it's a thought process that everybody should think about because you don't necessarily have to release a video the next day about a topic. I can speak from experience. If I'm not satisfied with the final product, I will delay it until I am satisfied, even if that subject matter that's the hot topic at the moment has kind of dwindled down a little bit. If I'm not satisfied, then I'm not going to release a product that you as a viewer, anyone else as a viewer is going to go, Mike, you should have worked on this a little harder, man.
Hmm. S- let me shift gears a little bit and ask about some of your more more popular videos, if you will, or some things that I noticed that you have, and maybe not. All right, well, maybe it's the same thing. It's something similar to the baseball thing. Where are you at on some of the wrestling content? How that worked for you, didn't work for you, what you've learned from that process a little bit.
Well, I was actually surprised at how well some of those wrestling videos did, because some of those wrestling videos are from 2011 when actually went to a couple of WWE events, and at the time I posted them, I was thinking, okay, so you have this video from 2011, here it is, 2019, and you're uploading it.
Hmm.
Will people still want to watch that reaction? And surprisingly, with the Kane video of him returning at Monday Night Raw during the Slammy Awards, people still wanted to watch it. I had actually uploaded a shorter version of that video, and somebody commented in the comment section, "Do you have a longer version of this?" I said, "I have the full video." So I ended up uploading the full video, and that's even got views more than I expected.
Yeah, they've done great for you, and I think that's really fascinating that some stuff wouldn't be time. I'm finding that with shorts as well. I don't know if you've dabbled with shorts much, but I've been trying to experiment a little bit from it. My angle is I treat it as a commercial. I don't treat it as, oh, I'm going to be a shorts maker. It's like usually it's a piece of longer form content. That's usually what some of the big creators do anyway. They make a long form content, then they cut it up and make shorts that are pointing to it. Um, it is interesting that things don't, like, for instance, even the Transformers thing we did. Now, our video that we did about the Transformers, the movie, is timely because we just did the video. But the fact that we're
Mhm,
talking about a movie from 1986 and the fact that those are getting the views that they're getting, to me is
mhm.
fascinating. Like, why would a video of us debating Optimus Prime get 4,000 views in a 30-second clip? Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think there is an expiration date. So I think YouTube is just that big, right? Does your
Mhm.
wrestling thing kind of fit that same theory, you think?
And I think it is because there was another video I had posted, and it was of the legendary Dusty Rhodes
Mm,
during the special SmackDown taping where they had some legends appear, and this was back in 2012. And that video has, I think, almost 500 views. It's pretty
hmm.
close to that. And then I have
Hmm.
one of Roddy Piper that has 1.3 views.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Do you play around much, or have you spent much time, um, how to level up on things like tags and thumbnails and titles, things like, do you play around with those at all? How to level up on
I do.
those?
I do.
Okay.
I've done my research too, and I try to keep up with YouTube, how even the tags aspect changes,
Mhm.
and I'm still learning new things. Again, doing YouTube or Rumble, Kick, and Twitch, it's always a learning curve. You're never going to know everything, and even when you think you do, the game changes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, the biggest truth that we could tell anyone is don't get yourself, and but let me ask you this then, I also don't believe to get too caught up with it, right? You don't want analysis to lead to paralysis, right? You still wanna make sure that you're, uh, creating content for the production, right? You need to be creating your content because the analysis and the data and the constant, you can just get caught up in doing all that, and then you realize that you haven't been generating content properly or timely and things like that, right? Because it's just so overwhelming.
It is because you can watch every video that's out there telling you about your SEO and how you should use it, and everybody has a different solution, a different answer.
Well, who do you listen to then?
vidIQ is one of the ones I
Yeah,
listened
me too.
to in the early days, and I've listened to TubeBuddy. What they recommend is, and sometimes you just got to go with your gut instinct.
Okay. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Obviously, I listen to, and I've said it many times, I will track down like the Mr. Beast advice, which is, just do 100 videos first. You know what I mean? Just get that first. thing under your belt and get better one at a time, right? But what
Mhm.
would you say to somebody who's like, you know what, they just started a new channel or they're getting ready to start a new channel? What would be your advice to somebody like that, like totally green out of the gate?
Right out of the gate,
Hmm.
this is a grind.
Hmm.
This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some highs, you're gonna have some lows. You're gonna have times where you're doing a live stream and you might be the only one there during the entire live stream. Don't give up.
Don't delete it.
Yeah.
Don't delete it. Someone will watch it after the fact, like me. Like I can't catch Mike live. He knows that, but he knows that I'm listening 1.5 to 2 speed, probably while I'm driving, because that's what I listen to most people.
Mhm.
So it is so true, right? And then and then don't. Wouldn't it be best if we also advise them like don't chase trends, just be yourself. Like
Mhm.
so my rule of from zero is evaluate I'm going to sit back for a second here. Let me my advice for zero. You don't have a channel. We're going to start a channel. All right, go out and just make 5 or 6 videos. Don't publish them yet. Just put them in draft or private or whatever you want to do. Just dabble a little bit. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 topics like Mike does, where you're talking about the Cubbies and wrestling and movies and whatever. Just do 2 or 3 different things. Just throw out 5 or 6 things. Have some fun. Learn. Get your feet wet, and then turn it on all at the same time, and maybe even bank 1 or 2 videos that you can release afterwards. And then you can tell all your family and friends, and then find 1 or 2 of those family and friends who are like me, who would just be an honest critic with you, right? If Mike came to me and
Right.
said, "Ah,
Right.
Pops, tell me what you really think," I'll be like, "Okay," and I can get in. I said I had a friend Mike who sent me. Probably not going to happen
Yeah.
again. They sent me a script to read, and I said, "Well, what do you want me to do here?" So they gave me permission to mark it up in red. They got it back with red. I'm like, okay. So, but you need a little bit of that, right? You need a little bit of that. Figure out what works, what doesn't work,
Mhm.
how to, and I think that's part of it is like, what, it's a grind, and part of that is you just got to stack a ton of experience of what works and doesn't work. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And another reason I say that is because I had a knee-jerk reaction in the early days.
Okay.
When YouTube said that they were gonna be enforcing COPA, the Child
Mm,
Protection Act,
yep.
I had a knee-jerk reaction because in the early days, yes, I still do it now, but in the early days, I was cussing up a storm in my videos. So I deactivated the channel for a few days too long because if I had reactivated just a little sooner, I would have been able to keep all the original videos that were on there.
Mm,
But
yeah.
I I had a knee-jerk reaction, and that's why I say don't give up. Don't be like me, having a knee-jerk reaction, deactivating your channel past the 10 days that they had given you at the time to reactivate the channel and keep all the videos, and have to start from scratch again.
Yeah. Been there. I would, my big foible would be not to delete a video. Like,
Mhm.
deleting a video is like your last resort, right? Make that baby private. We'll edit it if you needed a consultation with the old pops, we weren't happy to give it to you if it's a copyright claim type situation or whatever, things like that. It's just once you delete, you can't undo it. You got to re-upload it, start all over again. Most of the time, that's just going to be a mess anyway because it's already seen what you've done.
Mhm.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more. Don't. So my advice, tell me what you think, Mike. My advice on that knee-jerk reaction advice is 100%. I'm trying to live by this new standard. This is part of my 2024 principles. This one is one of my hardest ones. I'm trying to do this. Don't do anything for a day. So what I mean by that, get bent out of shape and I'm all emotional. My head is just fuming or sad or depressed or angry or whatever it may be. Don't do it for a day. Don't react. Don't make a decision. Don't react. Don't make a scene. Don't be confrontational. Just let it go for a day.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, the next day, it doesn't matter as much. It just doesn't, you know? So that's one of my principles I'm trying to live by and move forward through. And so far, I would grade myself at about a C minus to C plus. I'm trying to get to a C plus, like one step at a time. But I had a really good thing here recently where I got sad and dark and depressed by something, like just really pushed down. I want to say be confrontational, but I wanted to engage that person in that situation. And the next day, it just didn't matter as much. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And we just, yeah. So I think your knee jerk reaction thing is a lot more powerful than you probably even give it credit for, my friend.
And I do. I'm not gonna say I don't have regrets about doing it. I do have regrets about doing it because I think, you know, it told the people that I was subscribed to at the time that I was just gonna quit at a moment's notice. No, it was me thinking, oh great, YouTube's gonna come after my channel and they're gonna deactivate it and this, that, and the other. But I had to sit there and go, no, you love doing this. It's something that you said you would never do, but you found how much you enjoy it. Doesn't matter what you're talking about. Get back on that horse and charge.
Yeah, take a breath, right? It's just that, just take a
Hmm.
breath. Yeah, find some people you can talk to, right? Because you obviously have that relationship now with Baron and Cash, and I feel like anything that would disrupt you or make you feel that inner panic we have that triggers that fight or flight response in us, you can just go to them and talk to them, right? Let them talk you off that ledge.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who else has, beside the two of them, who has been someone who's given you some advice or helped you or mentored you or just kind of gave you the nudge in the right way to get to this point?
Corporeal life form was there in the very beginning.
Okay.
This was back in 2021. I had just recently lost my mother, and
Hmm.
YouTube was a way for me to try to get my strength back. You know, from where I was emotionally, mentally, physically after my mother's passing, and meeting the Nerporeal life form was probably one of the better things that could have happened. Not just for the channel, but for me, because you get to know someone like him, and you find out, oh, wait a minute, we both like Star Trek. He's here watching the box score, but we both like Star Trek. We can go on for hours talking about Star Trek. And, you know, I'm grateful for people like him. I'm grateful for Baron, Cash, Paul, and Phantomology. That Steven has become a good friend. Brandon, the anime guy, 24. Loki. There are so many people out there. Doomcock. So many. Gary from Neurotic that I would watch and I was entertained by, or I got a chance to talk to, and it helped lift me up in what I consider one of one of the darkest moments in my life during that time.
Hmm. That's really good stuff too. And Nurporio is so genuine, such a cool guy. He's
Mhm,
been my I don't know if you've seen any of my Star Trek, probably embarrassing to a Trekkie like you, but I'm not a Trekkie, as Mike probably does know by now. But Nurporio and others have encouraged me, and I've been doing my TOS rewatch reaction videos. So I've done a dozen or so. But Nurporio gave me the list. He gave me like the instruction manual of watch them in production order,
mhm,
and he's blowing up
mhm.
my comments. He's helping fill in because I don't do a lot of research. I find you get. I wanted to. My goal with this was to give you as visceral and honest of a reviewer reaction that I could give. So he's always filling in like trivia pieces and things like this actress and actor details stuff like that. So you should see some of my videos and tell what you think sometimes because I love that.
You know what's great, Pops? You, as someone who's not a Star Trek fan, watching the original series through new eyes. I wish I could go back and watch the original series through new eyes again. Next
Yeah.
Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, the
Mhm.
animated series.
And I think that I got a little taste of that with the Batman animated series because I was so
Mhm,
low. and I'd had, I think I'm pretty sure it was during the She-Hulk fiasco, but it was during a time where I was really low, and I just started rewatching them. And of course, at this point now, when you started creating content, you want to do anything. You're like, "Ah, can I make a video out of this?" And so many people reacted to, "I can't believe that you're watching this." And I'm like, I love the show, and it lifted my spirits. It brought me so much joy. And
Mhm,
with Trek, I watched it every evening as a kid. My mom's a Trekkie, and I only have though a memory more of being with her and it being on rather than these episodes, because it didn't connect enough with me to make me watch those episodes for years and years and years. Some of them I know I've seen, but I don't remember seeing them. I'll watch something and I'm like, oh, I kind of remember this. Anyway, um, but I love that experience that you guys have been so supportive with that. Like,
mhm.
okay, Pops is clearly not a Trek guy, but listen to how he talks about this episode, and you'll find that some of the comments are funny because people that will find the video that don't know me don't know I'm not a Trek guy. That's even funnier because they're criticizing me for something I missed or my take on it or whatever, and I'm like, they just don't know, which is cool. I could care absolutely less. My that gotta hurt my feelings, as you know me, but yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. So.
Well, again, you're coming at it through new eyes. I was 7
Mhm.
years old when I got into Star Trek, and one of the reasons I got into Star Trek wasn't just because He-Man introduced me to fantasy, but it was Transformers.
Mm.
I will
Yeah.
always say this, Transformers is the foundation of where my fandom really began, because with Transformers, it had those sci-fi elements. So when I first tuned into Star Trek and it was Tomorrow is Yesterday, I was captivated by it. It brought me in. It's like, this show is cool. This show is intelligent. And, seeing Shatner, Nimoy, Takai, Nichols, and, you know, James Doohan. I'll be honest, Scotty was my first character that I really loved.
Oh,
Really
he's
liked
such a
every
great.
time he came on screen. Not that I didn't like Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, I did, but Scotty.
I have just such vivid memories of it being on all the time and how much my mom loved it. And of course, because of that, I did get to go see, the motion picture in theaters. I remember Wrath of Khan and getting emotional, and I remember certain moments. So for me, it's kind of an affinity thing. And I've always enjoyed the mythos around Star Trek and also the actors, and and I have massive respect for how they treated their celebrity status in the wake of something that big. Like it's pretty hard to kind of escape the shadow of something that big. I mean, sure, Shatner did T.J. Hooker, and there's things that he did later on, but he's Captain Kirk, right?
Mhm,
Nimoy and whatever. But James Doohan, man, that guy. I don't know why there's not, and maybe this is the kind of thing why I'd be a producer. I would rather produce movies that are biopics that dive into the stories that don't get told, and we could just call the film Scotty, but it really ends with him playing Scotty, and you get into the history of the war, and he loses his finger, and some. I mean,
mhm.
it's like your head just goes, "This is so cool. This is a story I want to tell."
It is, you mentioned Nimoy and how,
Yeah,
earlier I mentioned Transformers being the foundation of my fandom. By the time Transformers the movie came out, I knew who Leonard Nimoy was.
yeah, yeah. What is it like doing content now in the middle of sort of a drought of content that I know you love? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just how do you navigate putting positive in the other side of the scale? How do you manage through that process?
And it's not an easy process. I've told Cash and Baron, I said, I know there's really not a lot for us to talk about right now on Pop Talk, but I'm determined to find stories that maybe aren't being talked about by too many people.
Mm,
Positive stories, or
yeah.
stories that maybe just catch my attention for one reason or another, due to either the headline, or maybe if I do read some of the article, which I try not to read the articles when we're doing Pop Talk, because I want the genuine, real first reaction to reading all the information we're getting from whomever is publishing this article, it's again, I'll go back to what I just said. It's not easy because you try to be positive with everything that's going on right now, but you still see things that really you shake your head and you go, "Why are they doing this?"
You and your show tends to be one of the ones that I enjoy the most because there's still a nice openness, and again, because you still do gaming and stuff too. I can't wait to get you some Transformer comics in your hand because this Energon books are so much fun. Like this feels like OG Transformers. They're so much fun. So I'm gonna be getting some books in Mike's hand here. This is gonna be great. Um, because uh, it's taken a while for certain things to be good again, right? We just can't get good things. And I think you've heard of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin. I don't know if you've read it or not. I would
Oh,
highly
oh,
recommend that for folks.
hold on one second.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
Hold,
you have a
hold,
copy.
hold on one second. I bought the hard copy not that long ago.
There you go. Yes. By the way, folks, if you haven't, I don't know when you're watching this, folks, check Amazon first because they've been running a sale at about $16 to $17, which is significantly below the 25 to $35 price tag you'll find most places. Yeah, I love Ronin. Last Ronin is fantastic. It's a great read. Obviously, I mentioned the Energon books, which is the new. It's Image slash Skybound. Skybound is actually Robert Kirkman, the Walking Dead guy, and it's Transformers and Duke and Cobra Commander. They're adding a Destro and Scarlet miniseries, and of course, Void Rivals is the one that Kirkman writes, and it's just fun again. It may not be the thing we talk about 20 years from now, Mike, but we can have fun for a minute, right? Isn't that the best? We can just have fun again.
Yeah, it, you know, it doesn't matter if it's comics, games, TV shows, movies. There are still good things out there.
Yeah.
You know, back in December, I went and saw The Iron Claw,
Hmm.
and that was a great movie. Zac
Yep.
Efron impressed me as Kevin Von Erich. He really did. I wasn't really up to date as far as his acting ability was. I knew him from those High School Musicals that Disney put on in the early 2000s, but he really impressed me with his acting skills in that movie. And that movie itself, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you can enjoy it.
I thought he was great. My wife's obsessed with the Greatest Showman, that musical.
Mhm.
And, I think he's fantastic. He's extremely underrated, talented young man. I'm not quite sure about, his trajectory or his whole resume of work. Iron Claw's solid, super solid movie. And but that's the thing. Maybe it's also a saturation issue. It's not that there aren't good things, it's the fact that there's just so much content, and a lot of it is mediocre and subpar because the market is so saturated full of just content that it takes a lot of sifting to find, you know, Shogun and, Bear and Iron Claw or the Godzilla movie and things like that. It's just you gotta deal with all this other stuff. And it's like, well, yes, but this one, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like it's we're in that kind of situation.
We are, Ed. You mentioned Godzilla. I went and saw -1. Now, I'm not a huge Godzilla fan, and I went into that movie with low expectations, and I came out of that movie raving about it. Going, this was excellent. This shows that you don't need to spend $300 million or more on a movie to be entertained. And I've even told people, even though there were subtitles, I didn't need the subtitles to know what was going on screen. I knew what was going on.
That is so true. That is so true. It's really good. It's really good. What what do you do besides YouTube that you find, again, I'm going to include the hobbies, right? So YouTube, games, movies, that kind of. What other stuff do you do that helps energize you, keep you positive, keep you uplifted?
Working in my yard.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just find it relaxing. I've always found it relaxing. There were times when I was growing up and it was a hot day, and my mom said, "You don't have to mow the lawn today." And I said, "I can do it." I find it relaxing.
Mrs. Pops finds it cathartic to be on the tractor mowing. So I don't know that I'm going to get that job away from her. Uh, she's kind of stolen the tractor. Pretty much, I get the little one. It's very comical. We should do a photo where you could see. Well, I don't know if she wants to be on camera, but I could do a photo where she's on this giant John Deere, and there's me on this 42-inch zero turn. It's kind of ridiculous, but because she enjoys it so much, she finds it like
Mhm.
yourself. Like she puts her earbuds in and she's just kind of cathartically doing her thing. And I think there's something to. I love finding that out. What people do to find peace and comfort and get away from the moment. Get it because you have a day job and stuff too. It's like you got a lot going on, Mike. Right? So it's like how do you break
Mhm.
things for a minute and fill the tank again? Yeah, it's good.
There have been times I've come home from work and I look at the yard and I say, "All right, time to get to work," because it helps me wind down.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Folks, all the links and stuff are in the description. I know this year, 2024, we do this thing where we let the guest ask Pops questions. So we're going to do that in just a second, but make sure you're connected. And the thing about Mike is I probably will miss links, but if you go over to Twitter, if you go over to YouTube, whatever, you will see all those links. He's got Rumble, Kick, Twitch, whatever. So if I miss some or I got some wrong, he'll try to keep me honest, but make sure you're connected because it's a dude that I met very early on of doing the Just Pops era, which is what I've called it, and just a genuine guy doing a show, open arms, sincere and authentic. I've just always appreciated everything you do, and it's been great to call you a friend in this journey. I wish we were able to coordinate schedules and do things like this even more often because I do respect you so much for that. And it's been great to get to know and put a flag in the ground for 1,000 subs and 2024 and kind of where we're at, man. It's great. I'm proud of you. That's for sure. So
It's been a long journey and it's not over. It'll never be
yeah,
over.
infinite game, baby, infinite game. Okay. So with that said, Mike, I'll throw to you and let you throw me some questions if you like.
Okay. Well, I know you've been a critic throughout
Hmm.
your career and you've been invited to some movie premieres to review those movies and you've turned them down, but what are the most satisfying things to come out of being a professional movie reviewer, a professional critic?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. That's a really good question. So there's two parts to that. The first part would be that you're usually allowed to bring a guest and to get a chance to bring really my kids. No offense to Mrs. Pops, but I've been able to do press events with the kids, and like we were talking earlier about the first time watching experiences. So I was
Mhm.
able to take my oldest daughter to see Jaws. So she did a Watch Your Story with us, folks. So if you go back and see that one, she talks about it briefly, getting a chance to see Jaws in the theater. Now she's seen it at home, but she hadn't seen it in the theater. So those kind of experiences with the kids have always been invaluable. Um, and then, of course, the buzz that they get by seeing stuff early. They go back to school or whatever, and they'd have 4 days to a week or so of seeing things in advance because of me. That kind of feels pretty cool. You're giving your kid that kind of thing because you know how we were growing up. It's like if somebody saw things when they first came out, it was a big deal if they knew about it. You know what I mean? Where some of us
Mhm.
didn't get to go, and yeah, so I've been able to give that to my kids. So that's probably the biggest thing. Um, but a movie experience that was so good, I would say the OG Marvel stuff, back when Marvel was just rocking and rolling, I have to admit. I'd have so many people ask me at work. I had so many people wanting to know. And it was such a cool experience to get to go see these things in advance, know before everybody else, knowing the twists and turns and the rumors and seeing everything unpack sometimes couple weeks ahead, but it just depends. Like, so, I knew what was going to happen, with Guardians and Civil War. And obviously, the biggest one would have been I knew what was going to happen in Infinity War. And that was the biggest one. Watching Infinity War on opening day with the kids and the family, knowing I'd already seen it, knowing and listening to the audience and watching them experience that for the first time. That's probably one of the most rewarding ones. because it was such a big film, if you know what I mean. Um,
Hmm.
I never looked at it as like an ego thing. Like, I got to see it early. I always enjoyed like how that process would go to other people, and what my role was is to advise people on if it was a movie that they should go see or not, or what to evaluate the movie and that kind of thing. So I've always tried to respect it as not really an art, but respect it as the profession it's supposed to be. And that's gotten me into hot water at times, but I don't have any regrets in that regard. But yeah, that's a great question, Mike. Thanks for that. You got another one before we go?
Yeah, the first comic issue that you ever picked up.
Um, I so when I was a kid, I was into whatever I could get my grandmother to get me at the grocery store or at the thrift store. So I wouldn't know exactly which comic book that would be. Um, so as a kid, I'm talking like between like 5 and 9, it would be like the John Byrne Avengers run. I always talk about Avengers 181. There's a Spectacular Spider-Man that Frank Miller did the cover on. Has Spider-Man and Daredevil on the cover. Um, I have very vivid memories of those, getting those, having those. Um, the era of me now, like this version of me, like getting serious, didn't happen until the Batman movie. I talked about that 1989 movie,
Hmm.
and I had a friend
Great
who
movie.
had. Say again.
Great movie.
Yeah, it changed everything for me. It made me realize comics were for adults, right? Because I had a friend who had he and his brother, they had Dark Knight Returns and Killing Joke, and so within like a weekend, we saw the Batman movie. I worked at the theater, so we could go for free. So we had to wait till we could get in again to go. So we saw it early, and then we were waiting to get in to see it again. I just stayed at there. We stayed together, and I read all these different graphic novels, and then I went out and bought my own. So it was that era of stuff that everything changed. I don't know which one came first that I bought, but I bought all of them. So I went to this. It was Walden Books, the University Mall in Tampa. It was Dark Knight Returns and Killing Joke. They didn't have. Oh, they had Batman Year One, and it would have been Electro Assassin. The Miller did, and it was Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was like these type of things that was it. And then I'm hooked. I've been hooked ever since. So yeah, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Do you
Eh,
read a lot of comics?
Not as much as I used to.
Yeah. You got a first comic or a first memory kind of thing?
First memory of reading a comic was actually the comics that used to come with the Masters of the Universe figures for He-Man.
Oh, very cool. You know, Angry Canadian told me that that's what got him hooked too, because he would read the Bionicle comics. It came with the Bionicle action figures or Legos or something. So those things work. I think I did a video on do these gimmicks work, and I'm like, they do work. You're proof. You're
Mhm.
proof. That's good. Well, Mike, my friend, we got through it. The time goes by so fast. Listen, I appreciate you, man. This is awesome. All the links are there, folks. For those of you watching, make sure you're connected to this guy. And congratulations again, my friend. I'm so proud of where you've come and just the endurance, man. The endurance. You've got that. You know, I'm handing you that cup of water because I know that you're still on the marathon. You're still running, but you know, I'm cheering you on, man. It's awesome. So great.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of this. I appreciate any time I've been a part of a live stream that you've had, whether it be Talk Hard or talking San Diego Comic Con or just a general discussion. I
Yeah.
appreciate it because I try not to take being invited to a channel for granted. And when I am invited to someone's channel, I treat it like this, like I'm stepping into their home. This is their house, their rules. Respect their house, respect the rules, and you won't have any problem.
Well, I tell you what, man, you've got such a welcoming show as well, and I've enjoyed all of our time that we can hang out and open the doors to let me come in and talk nerdy with you. And there's been a couple that have been really fun. I think Paul and his magical movie list or whatever he wanted to call his movie list just about made my head pop off. I think that was live on your show, and
Mhm.
I think it was a live reaction to the original X-Men 97 press release, and my head just about burst into flames during that as well. So yeah, I've had some moments
Yeah.
on your show, some memories that won't go away anytime soon. So we've had a good fun ride so far, and I can't wait for more of it. That's great. So I'm glad we were able to do
We
this
have
part of
it,
it.
and I'm so appreciative to have met you, to have been able to again talk to Loki, talk to
Yeah.
Ironcaster, talk to Brandon the Anime Guy, Nerdrotics, Nerdporial, everybody who I've had an encounter with, Gary from Pop Culture Minefield,
Yeah.
Keith, so many.
Yeah, it's just been fun to get to know people and just, just keep going and growing and hanging out and doing this kind of nerdy stuff, man. It's just the best. It's just the best. So, well, folks, listen, that's What's Your Story for this week. Thanks so much. Make sure you're connected over here with Mike and everything he and his channel are doing. It's absolutely phenomenal. You're going to love it. And thanks for watching and hanging out with me. I appreciate you so much, Mike. Take care. Everybody out there, be blessed, talk hard. Until next time, I am Pops.